62.
Hi, Kevin. My name is
Excuse
Brent.
me, before we start, can I ask you one question?
Sure,
I had
yes,
a
sir.
Michael Johnson on the schedule for today also. Is he still doing his?
He is.
You're Michael John?
Yeah.
Yep.
He must have been moved.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
yes.
I'll get him ready.
Yeah, Michael Johnson.
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Kevin, my name is Brendan Kelsey. Along with me is Ms. Cheryl Renatza and Ms. Bonnie Jackson will be your panel. I'll explain the process to you, read some information to the record, have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond at the end. You can make a statement and we'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir, I do.
Kevin Marange DOC number 517762. You're a third class offender. Parole eligibility date 3/11/2023. Good time date 3/29/2030. Full term date 9/10/2030. 10-year sentence. Aggravated obstruction of highway commerce. Possession of prazolam. Possession with intent to distribute methamphetamines. Possession with intent to distribute alprazolam. Possession of clonazepam. Possession of heroin. Possession of methamphetamine. Does that sound correct?
That's correct, sir.
Would you answer, Ms. Jack, please?
Good morning, Marange. How are you doing today?
Fine, ma'am. You, thank you.
How old are you, Mr. Marange?
I'm 57 years old.
And how much time have you served on this 10-year sentence?
28 months.
Have you been at the same facility the whole time?
I was in my parish for 9 months, and then after I pleaded out, I got shipped here, and I've been here ever since.
Well, let's kind of cut to the chase. You obviously have an extremely serious drug addiction. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And did you start using drugs?
When?
Yes. How old were you
I'm
when you
sorry.
started? How old were you when you started using drugs?
Probably around 54, 53.
Age?
Yes, ma'am.
Why so late in life that you don't usually see that? So what would cause you to go to drug use at 53 or 54 years of age?
I was hurt in an accident, and I was seeing a doctor, going to physical therapy for 8 months. And the whole time I was prescribed pain medication. And when the doctor was finished with me, I was addicted to drugs, and I turned to street drugs.
Did you ever make any effort to get any kind of help for your drug addiction on the street?
I attended a couple of NA meetings, but I wasn't, at the time, I wasn't ready to quit.
All right.
I dabbled in it, but nothing serious, no ma'am.
What kind of programs do they have where you are now?
I've completed phase 1 and phase 2
Of
of
what?
drug abuse.
And what's that? I mean, drug use, that's kind of general. What specific program have you been involved in? What's the name of the program?
Louisiana Risk Management, phase 1 and phase 2 I've completed. I've completed anger management class.
Well, I want to talk about I want to talk about your drug addiction, Mr. Marange. Anger
Yes, ma'am.
management, that's the core issue in this case. So what have you learned in risk management that might help you going forward with your addiction?
Foremost, I learned I'm an addict, but I'm a recovering addict. And I learned that only I can take steps to prevent me from relapsing or going back into it. And
Stop talking. What steps?
what steps?
I can say you've learned to take steps, so I'm trying to figure out what step.
Well, steps are that since I'm a recovering addict and will be to the day I die, I have to continue to work, go to like NA meetings on the outside, have a sponsor, have somebody that's there for me. I have my family, and I have a support system to them. And I'm gonna do some programs. I'm working with our DOC transition specialist, Miss Hendricks. She's hooking me up with some programs in my hometown. And I'll plan on attending those, but most of all, I never want to look in the mirror and be that person again. An addict. I've got my self-respect back, and I'm determined to make it. I'm determined to stay clean. I mean, I'm too old. I'm 57 years old, and God knows how long I got left on this earth. But by what time I have left on this earth, I'm gonna stay clean, and that way I can have the love of my family. I can have my family back, and I have the respect of my family and my friends. But most of all, it's my self-respect. This is something I want to do.
I'm looking at your criminal history. You said you started using drugs 3 or 4 years ago, but I show that in 2007, you received a 2-year hard labor sentence for possession, schedule 2, bank fraud, and unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling.
Yes, ma'am. I wasn't using back then. I was with some people in a FEMA trailer, and they came in a FEMA trailer, and I had to take, nobody took the lick, so they charged us all with it.
Well, what about the bank fraud and the unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling that you had at the same time that you had Schedule 2?
I was, a friend of mine gave me a check to cash, and I went to go cash it, and it ended up being a stolen check.
And what about unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling?
That was my FEMA trailer. It was in my fiance's name, and me and her had split up.
You know, I'm looking at your record and listening to it, and like none of this is your fault.
Oh, no, all of it's my fault. I put myself in that position. I'll take that. Yes, ma'am.
Just being in a place where drugs is found isn't enough to convict someone of possession Schedule 2.
Yes, ma'am.
And so obviously some other information that led to your conviction. Also,
No,
the
ma'am.
bank fraud, people usually know that they're dealing with stolen checks. And I just don't see that you're owning responsibility for some of the conduct.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm owning up to it. I was there. I knew what was going on. I knew exactly what was going on. I was part of it.
Okay, but then you said you told me earlier you didn't know the check was stolen.
No, I was part of it. I didn't know it was stolen, but I was part of it. I was there. I cashed the check. So, I mean, I was part of it.
Well, again, you're doing it again. You're collecting and not accepting responsibility. You have lots of opposition from the district attorney, the sheriff, Slidell Police Department. So what if you were to be successful, Mr. Marange, what's your transition plan?
The transition plan is I'm going to my sister's home. I have a job waiting on me. I'm a professional painter. I have been for 35 years. I've had my own business at one time, and my goal is to work for another contractor for 8 to 12 months, so I can get my equipment back, and then LA Works is going to help me get my insurance and all, and I hope within 2 years to have my own business up and running. 2 or 3 people working along with me.
Tell me about the cruelty to the infirm conviction from 2016, where you got 4 years DOC.
Okay, I was living with me and my girlfriend, and she had brought her mother home, and the mother had dementia. Me and the girl was arguing, and I had a drink from the store with crushed ice in it, and I poured it in her face, and she called the police. And when they came, some ice had hit the mother, and which I threw drinks, and they charged him with cruelty to the infirm.
All right, that's all I have, Mr. Kelsey.
All right, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. I've been working with Miss Hendricks here at Caldwell, and I've gone through the classes, and I never want to be that person I was before I got convicted of these drug charges. I have no desire to use drugs to live that life anymore. I have a good support system waiting for me. I'm working with Miss Hendricks. She's got some programs for me if I'm released that she's going to hook me up with. And I have a good support system out there. I mean, my family loves me, and I need to gain their respect back. And I know that I got to work on that. They're not going to give it to them. I'm going to work on that. But I feel strongly because I want to quit. I know I'm a recovering addict, and I will be, like I said, till the day I die. And I'm going to work every day on that, on being the clean person that I know I can be.
All right, thank you. Is now prepared to vote? Ms. Jackson?
Ms. Marange, you're making some progress, that you taken risk management 1 and 2, but I think your drug addiction is far more serious than you even acknowledging to yourself. When I see drug conviction going back to 2007, and you say you've only been using since your age 53 or 54, that tells me that you really aren't being honest with yourself about the extent of your addiction. And until you're able to do that, you're not going to be able to address it and to deal with it. You've got opposition from DA and law enforcement in Slidell. You are a third offender, and I think you're moving in the right direction. I just don't think you're there yet. So my vote today would be to deny.
Ms. Renata?
Mr. Marange, I do agree. My vote also is to deny for the same reason. Well, good luck.
2 votes to deny. I vote to deny as well for the same reasons you stated. 3 votes to deny. Today your parole's been denied. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's interesting. I felt like he started the hearing by just trying to completely BS the board, making it seem like he's been this great stand-up citizen. It was only 3 or 4 years ago that he started doing drugs. It was because he was in an accident, and he played this whole victim card that he had planned out, thinking it would go great. And, you know, just looking at him, it looks like he's been on meth for a very long time. I don't know. Maybe he hasn't, but I didn't buy it from the beginning. And then Miss Jackson just goes into everything, and he's a pretty bad dude. Cruelty to the infirm. He had every excuse from all of those previous convictions. Yeah, it's like you just can't feel bad for someone when they just try to con and lie their way through the situation. They were respectful in the way that they denied him. They could have torn him apart, but they didn't, and I'm happy about that. He does need more help, and maybe he just needs to admit that he's a serious addict, and he's been probably much of his life. I'd love to hear your comments on this, but with that, I will let you go.